Right then, guys, this is a bait that I've been working on now since I've really made the decision that I'm going to be fishing a new venue. That I'm not going to set a name at place that I'm going to be fishing. I'm going to be doing bits all over. I'm going to be doing bits on Ecclesfield, on Canal. I'm going to be doing bits all over the place. But there's one place that I'm going to be fishing, and it is really, really silty. It's a bit like Ecclesfield in its makeup, like a rush lined, where margins are shallow, and it's got little deep depressions and stuff like that. And it's a nice place. Now I've come up with a bait that I'm going to be using on there, and it's really a heavy bloodworm bait, but it's just got far more bloodworm in than any bait that I've ever done before, for the simple reason of silty ponds are always breeding grounds for bloodworm. The best way to find out if they're going to be rich in bloodworm is if there's a lot of fly life on there. If you go in summer and there's a lot of flies on there to the point that they really annoy you, then you can pretty much guarantee that it's going to be full of bloodworm, because it's obviously that's where bloodworm comes from. It's just a larva. So it's what I've done with this is it's also got crayfish in it, because again, silt, and the place where it's located, there's a little it's like a little brook that runs into it. Now it's that brook is full of crayfish, so I put quite a bit of crayfish in there as well. So hopefully this is gonna be the one. Now what I'm gonna do with this is I'm thinking I was gonna roll it into pellet, but I've had to go with it, and it's a nightmare. It's absolute nightmare to do. Now I'm still gonna have a go at doing it. But when it comes to stuff like that, you've got to come up with something different, because you don't want to be spending hours and hours and hours rolling pellet. It's just stupidity. You might as well just use black halibut, or go to sticky baits and get sticky baits bloodworm pellet. It's just for time and effort. You may as well do that. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think the pellets would be unbelievable from this bait, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do them in 12mm barrels. They're going to be 12mm barrels, small barrels, and then what I'm going to do is chop them up, put them on chopper, and chop it with cutter we've got, what's used for herbs, and get it into crumb and flake. Now a lot of it will actually be put into a blender and blitzed, so it's an actual dust. It's a dust when it's done. Air dry in 48 hours, and then crumb it up, so it's an actual crumb with odd bit of flake in there as well. So when it's on the bottom, it's going to get into all silt, and it's going to be letting off the natural attraction of bloodworm. So they're going to think it's a bloodworm bed that's ripe, and they're going to hit it at that point. And then hopefully by fishing a piece of fake maize or a piece of fake corn over the top of it, then I should do alright. But I am going to also put some 20mm, 16s and 14mm boilies out there as well. Now that's not me necessarily going to be fishing on them from the off, but I did definitely, every time I fish it, 20mm, 16s, 14mm boilies are going to be put on. Then when I go for a walk around during the week, trickle a few more in. Just if I have to, I'll put some in every peg that no one's fishing, just an handful, about 15-20 baits, really just to get them searching that Pacific beta. And it's worked on every other venue I've ever fished, so I can't see it not working on this one, to be perfectly honest with you. It's now this is probably the thickest I've ever had the eggs stage ever. Now what's actually in here is krill, bloodworm. It's got a little bit of the sardine and anchovy in, but I didn't want it to. It's very much like whale's breath, apart from the amounts that are in the bloodworm. The amount of bloodworm is just, it's probably three or four times the amount that's in whale's breath. And whale's breath's done really well. You can see crayfish meat and that there. Now you can see thickness of, they're just the eggs and the fish meal powders that I put in there. Now I've had a few people, absolutely reeks as well, by the way, absolutely stinks. Now I've had a few ask me over how to make a simple base mix. It's quite easy for me to tell you a simple base mix. There's loads of stuff out there actually on how to do it, but it's just really just made up of maize meal and semolina. That's all it really is, to be perfectly honest with you. Now the base mixes I do are the ones here. Now I get rid of odd base mix, odd person has base mixes off me. It saves them messing about. It saves them getting flour all over the place. And I mix it up in large batches. And it took a while for me to come up with it. I will be honest with you. It took me a while to come up with that base mix. But it's a base mix that I use really for fruit base. But it allows me to inject colour into it. This base mix allows me to get colour into the base. Now, I want these baits just a little bit redder than that, so I will be adding a little bit of red colour to them, and I will be getting them to a redder colour, because when I want it on the bottom of the pond, I want it to be in small bits that to the fish they're going to think it's bloodworm, and they're going to get straight on it. And that, with the fish meal base mix I do, it's pretty hard to get anything into that base mix apart from the colour black. The black will go into it. Other than that, it's impossible to get any colour into it. It's the sardine and anchovy that goes into it. It just overpowers everything. Even colour wise, it's really a powerful flavour. Now I'm really happy with that flavour as well. It's a really nice flavour. It's but so far all being well, it's coming along nicely. I've got everything I need now to start. So I'm just looking forward to getting down there now and starting to catch a few of these fish. Now I'm going to do a few vlogs while I'm down there. So you're going to get to see how I'm going on and what have you. But so far so good. I've got loads of tins of meat. I've got loads of tins of corn. I think it's around about, I think it's about 5-6 kilo hemp, just hemp. I'm going to add corn to it, just fish corn, hemp, and these over top, these little barrels, 12mm barrels. Now I'm going to put them in, and then I will be fishing. More than likely, I won't even fish that side. I will fish the other side to it. I'll bait the right hand side, but fish the left hand side. Now, before I leave, when that light starts to drop, that's when I will drop a bait down onto that spot, and hopefully I'll have something. But I will be fishing it on sunken float anyway, so most of my fishing is going to be done this year. Is going to be done on a float rod. So, and I've got a lovely float rod. I've got a Witchwood 2.5 pound test curve. The rods I use, the 3 pound 101s I use, I've got the 2.5 pound test curve, one of them that I fish with a centre pin on it for carp. But I've got a Corum all-rounder rod that I absolutely love. I love it. I love fishing with that rod, and I love using it with a centre pin. It's a really nice rod. So most of my fishing is going to be done on that, which will be nice because it's only about 1.5 pound test curve. So if I hook into one of them big ones over 25 pound, it's going to really rip that rod round. Now, I love using a centre pin, so I can pretty much get a fish out with a centre pin. It's even in really heavy, like Graves Port when cabbages are up and stuff. I once I'm at that place and I had loads of time one day on the old coys. So I'm looking forward to it. Now tomorrow I'll roll these and I'll do an upload of it. But that is the wet mix of it. I'm taking my word from it. It absolutely stinks, but it's going to do the business.